Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Jira training session. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to further modify your Scrum or Kanban boards or edit the information in there if you want to make changes in any way to the board. But before we start, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, like, and share this video with the rest of your friends and colleagues. Okay, so right here, I have my project already opened and I'm already in my backlog. This is a Scrum board that I already created. And at the left hand side of the screen, you can see all the board information in terms of what's my backlog, is it my active sprint. If it's an active sprint, you need to click on active sprint, and then that's where you get to see the different columns of what's going on, what started, what hasn't. But in this instance, I'm going to be in my backlog, which shows me literally everything that I have in the backlog for this board. On the right hand side of your screen, you would see these three dots at the top side. Most of the time, you can see this next to a share, but in some Jira instance, you don't have a share next to it, but you would just see like the three dots at the top right corner of your screen. If you click on that, you can see in here it says bot setting, create board, hide, show details. In some Jira instance, you would see configure. So you can either click on configure if that's what you can see on your screen, or you can click on board settings. Both would do the same. So in this project setting or configure, it takes you to the board setup, and that's where you need to be if you want to edit. Maybe you want to change the board name, or in this section, you can give other team members admin rights to be able to make changes or start a sprint, end a sprint. If you want them to do that, you want them to be able to do certain things in the board, then in this section, you would need to come in to add them as a board administrator to be able to do certain things. Okay, so if, for example, I would like to change the name of the board, you would go into here where it says board name. When you hover over the box in there, you would see a pencil sign. Once you click on the pencil sign, it pops up and then you can put in the change you want in there. Okay, and I think the same also happens to this. So for the project administrators, if you click, you can have as many administrators, by the way, added to your board, but I always advise people not to have too many, just because once you're giving people admin rights, you're giving them access to be able to do and undo in your project. Unless, of course, you're sure of their Jira skills or knowledge, then yes, you can give it to them because they know their way around, the system. They know what they need to do. So to get add more administrators to your board, you will literally click on the pencil sign when you hover over the administrator part, and then the pencil sign appears, and then you just click on it, and then you can add as many names as you want in there. And then once you're done, just click outside the box, and then that should save it. Okay. And then in an instance where you don't want to change the name, you don't want to add more administrators, but you want to further modify the board to look at specific information. For example, change the query that kind of controls the board. So in this section, you can see where it says the filter query. So for this board, the filter query is project equals to PX, and that's all. Project equals to PX means that it's every single thing in this project is what I'm seeing in this board. You can further modify this to show specific information. It could be that you want to see just things that have information in a label. So you can say, I want this board to focus on everything that's got a label, Captain America. Or if your team defined or identified by squad names, then you can specify to say, I want to see information in this board only for squad Iron Man, for example, if that's the name of your squad. Or you can even use literally components. You can configure your filters to focus on specific components within the project. You can configure your board looking at deliverables, specific information in an epic. You know, you can define your board to be that specific if you want to. What I would suggest is once you are given using either your components or labels or squad or specific epic link and stuff to control your board, please make sure that every single information in that board has that unique identifier you're using to create the board. Otherwise, you will be missing certain information. So I will show you an example of how to do that. So if you want to edit the board, for example, at the bottom here where it says filter, in the section for the filter, you will click on edit filter query. Once you click on this will then take you to the filter in itself. So I'm going to right click on this because I don't want to close this section. And then this brings me to every single thing in my project, right? But now I'm only interested in anything that's got a label ABC on it. So I'm going to be opening two of the stories. It could be any issue type, by the way. It can be stories, bug, tags, whatever issue type you have in your project. The key information pointers would be whatever the unique identifier is, that has to be applied to every single issue in that project or any other project, by the way. Yeah. So I can have 10 different projects, and then your unique identifier, which is labeled ABC, has to be applied to every single ticket in those 10 projects, or the ticket you're interested in. Those labels needs to be applied onto them so that they then pull the information from all those projects into your board for you to see. So it doesn't have to be a project to a label. You can have one label going across multiple projects, a squad going across multiple projects. Your epic link can go across multiple projects. It's not a one-to-one liking. So it's just making sure that when you're doing that, it's quite clear on the system, your unique identifier, and it's quite clear on the ticket that the unique identifier is also being used. Okay, so I've opened up that one, and then I will use a bug as my second ticket. And then I'm going to be applying the label. I will just say ABC. Sorry about that. Okay, and that's it. That's how you create your label. Remember, the label field is a text free field. So literally, you can type in anything you want. But the disadvantage of this field is it's case sensitive. So you can have an ABC all in capital letter, and then someone else within your team wanting to use the same label can also use ABC but in small letters, or A capital letter, B small letter. So excuse me, it would identify them as different tags. So it's quite sensitive. So if you're sticking to ABC in capital letter, make sure that that's what you've used in all the ticket. Once you've created it once, the next time you will be using this label, you don't need to create it again. It would show like a drop down, and then you would need to choose the one with a capital letter. If, for example, someone else within the team created an ABC label wanting to use as well for the board, that's not breaking the bank. That's not going to stop anything. What you then need to remember is all those different variations need to be included in the JQL query. So hence the reason why the label needs to be carefully used and used consistently across the different teams or different projects if that's what you're using it for. Okay, so I would apply the same label as well to my bug, and then I would say A, B, C. You can see now in on my screen, it shows me ABC and also an ABC as a new label. So what you don't want to do is choose this, because that would then recognize it as two different labels instead of one. So I'm just going to be choosing an already existing one because that's what we want in this instance. In my subsequent videos, I will be showing you how to pick up on the different variations of the same labels that you have, and how you can apply them to your filters to pull into your Scrum board. So now that I've done that, I will be going back into my board now, and then I'm going back into the backlog. And then I'll be going back into the board setting in your instance, maybe configuration. And then I will click on edit filters again. I would right click on this time around because I want to be able to come back to this without having to navigate through many tabs. Okay, so now this is the board. So now we now have the label. So what I'm going to do is you remove the order by, because once your JQL query is already sorted, I will show you how to put back the order by ranking on, because that you can get already by default at the board setting as well. So I would just say project. Okay, so that's my project. And then I'm using the and option. And then I'm saying labels, because now we're using labels. And then I'm saying anything that's got a label. And then that should be equal to ABC. So that comes up, and then that's it. And then I'll click on search. And then that should give me the two bugs that we've applied the label to. Now I click on save. Always remember to save the filter, because even though you've edited the filters, if you do not save, it doesn't go back to the board. So now I'm going to click on save, and then I go back to the board, refresh my screen, and then you can see, if you scroll down a bit, and then you can see in the query section, the filter query has changed here. It's now gone to project equals to. You can see now that has changed. So remember, I said the order by ranking, because remember when we were wanted to edit the filter, we took that out. So now that you've got your filter right, you can see here, all you need to do is just click on this button, add rank, and then you confirm, and then that should put the order by ranking back for you into the board, and then that's it, done. So I would then go back to my board. Now that I'm done with the project setting, I've made all the necessary changes that I want to. I'm going to go back into my board, and now you can see now my board is now only focusing on the two items that has got the labels that I've, the label that I have created. So in my subsequent videos, I will then further show you how to then set up your columns, quick filters for your Scrum board. So that will be it for today. Thank you for staying tuned, and I'll see you in my next video. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, like and share the video with the rest of your friends and colleagues. Thank you.